Here we go. Yeah. So, hey Tim, how are you doing?
Hey Barry, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. I've spent my day today. It's 15:30, like we just said before we started the recording. My day is kind of almost done. I spent all day basically talking to my computer, like to an AI, to various AIs. It is very strange how my days have changed from like browsing and looking stuff up to just talking to my computer and it just talks back basically. It's very strange. But yeah, how are you?
It's a different world, isn't it? I'm doing great, thanks. I really am. And I agree 100%. First of all, I want to say it's awesome that you're using voice chat with the AI in your computer. I tell that to my learners all the time. Some people are better with their prompting using their voice as opposed to writing. Hit that microphone button and get her done. I use voice chat when I'm on the go a lot. But to your point,
Yeah.
Barry, yeah, it's rapidly um, it's AI, generative AI is rapidly increased my knowledge, my effectiveness, personally and professionally. It's an amazing time to be alive.
It is, yeah. And it's an amazing time to just be in tech as well.
Yeah.
Because, this is I don't know how many of these big changes. Like we had mobile, we had the web, we had cloud. I've caught a couple of those now.
Hmm.
The web, I'm a bit too young for. That was
Hmm.
already there, kinda ish. So when I started using computers, we had the web. I feel like this thing is way bigger than that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's funny you mention that because that's something, again, whether I'm in a consulting or teaching context, I always like to bring up is when you think about the big disruptions in tech, and I am a little bit older, actually, I'm wearing a shirt of my alma mater. I was at Cornell in the mid 90s at the dawn of the World Wide Web, so I was right there in the center of it. I think that Gen AI has been following a very similar trajectory to all those other disruptions. Yes, there's a change in economies and job roles and all of that, though there's definitely truth to that. It's not one of those things that's rapidly going to fizzle out. It's like the mobile device revolution. It's like the World Wide Web. It's going to be with us. Um, and I find that I see a lot of the same reactions to it that I've seen in the past, like when the cloud came in. I still have a lot of friends and professional colleagues who are really skeptical and angry about the cloud because they prefer to have a screwdriver in their hand in their local data center. And that's cool. But fortunately, I've always been one who's willing to change and evolve. So it's been more enjoyable than painful.
Yeah, yeah, I find the same thing. And indeed, also from a Microsoft perspective, where I work now, I do still see customers that are, half in the cloud. Some are still like, "Hey, the cloud, is that a new thing? I don't know."
Right.
But everybody does it at their own pace, right? So,
Hmm.
and that's fine.
Hmm.
That's totally fine. So have you been developing software yourself still?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, more than ever before. Again, that's another level up with Gen AI. It's really twofold. One, being able to take an idea and push it down the field faster than ever was conceivable prior to generative AI. And two, I feel my effectiveness as a developer is farther along faster than ever before because I make sure to have the AI teach as it goes. I'm not one of
Mm.
those stereotypical vibe coders who just wants the AI to run off and do all of its magic while I get my espresso. I'm going to get my espresso, don't worry about it. But I actually want to know what's happening behind the scenes. And again, I think that's a critical through line to this discussion. Human in the loop, always.
Yeah. And so you develop production software as well for clients?
No, I would call myself mainly a hobbyist. I don't feel
Yeah.
I've in my career of almost 30 years, I've worked with and on software engineering teams, but I have yet to have developer as a formal full-time job role. So I don't feel I would be doing clients and customers a service doing that. More architecture and the stuff that I develop and ship is mainly just for my learners and my tech community I do submit work to my full-time employer, Pluralsight, again, and then automation more than anything else, helpers, that kind of stuff. And in
Yeah.
my instructional design, of course, I need demos, I need sample code, and I guess last of all, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and we've always got a project going on. So there's something to do development-wise in some stripe or another.
Oh, that's fun. So she also uses it.
Actually not. It's an interesting thing. Here's my daughter. She's got a dad who's all into AI. She's very opposed to AI. She's an
Oh.
artist and she's concerned about intellectual property rights, as she should be.
Yeah.
And she's an animator, and so she resents AI and actually intentionally, when we're doing, like, we're working on it's a pretty low tech interactive web application. And she quizzes me to make sure I'm not using AI. I mean, in full disclosure, of course I'm going to use it a little bit, but for
Of
her,
course.
I tell her that, but for her, we're kicking it old school. Fortunately, it's just light JavaScript, mostly just old school HTML and CSS. So,
Okay, well, keeping it simple. That's how I like to do it as
yeah.
well. Yeah. Okay, so when you do use AI for creating software, what do you use? What
hmm
type of Copilot or thing do you use?
hmm At this point, I'd say my 80% scenario is Claude Code and the Claude VS Code extension. I found of the LLMs, the Claude models, not only are the most human-like, but they think like a developer more than any of the others. Now, it's ebbed and flowed with my use of GitHub Copilot. Now that it supports multi-model, the barriers that might have been there in the past are no longer there. But for me, it comes down to effectiveness first, but customer delight right behind it. And my complaint with GitHub Copilot and VS Code is my code editor, is that those engineers keep making changes, particularly UI and feature changes and renames way too often, and it's anti-delightful. So that's why I found Claude Code to be the best fit for me currently, not only because of its effectiveness, its ability to think like a programmer, but just from the pure bucket of customer delight, using the software as a delightful experience for me.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like they move your cheese a lot.
There you
Uh,
go.
yeah, because things are so, they're developing very actively on it, and new features drop every time, and then, maybe something changes. I totally get that. So you only use it from VS Code, or do you also use the CLI?
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I should have been more specific. Mostly from the CLI. Yeah, either in
Okay. Yeah.
Windows Terminal or the integrated terminal in VS Code. Yeah, and that's something else. You can tell
Mm.
when a vendor has a good idea when all the competition starts adopting it. I mean, all of the paradigms we have in Claude Code, from the slash commands to context visualization to subagents, now we see going from the Google Gemini CLI to the GitHub Copilot
Mhm.
CLI to Codex CLI. They all behave largely the same, and that's something I like to stress in the classroom, that don't worry about having to reinvent the wheel, the dry principle in development. These vendors are all cribbing on each other, so learn one really well and you're 80% there for mastering the competition if and when you want to go there.
Yeah, because they all basically work the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
so how what I used to do is I used to try slash commands and adds and all sorts of things to try to make it work better, simply because, I don't know, 6 months ago they weren't that great.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I just type a sloppy prompt, like, hey, make this for me, it just usually basically does it without much hand holding.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you use those things? Do you use like skills and
Oh, yeah.
prompts and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, not to be skewing this, anthropic wise specifically, but I want to give a shout out to a GitHub project called Everything Claude Code. I don't remember the dev's name, but this person really has gone to town creating a plugin that includes very useful agents and hooks, all the different parts and pieces, that
Mm.
some of which that you were mentioning, Barry. And it might be a good spot for someone to look at and experiment to see and test how these various doodads and thingamabobs actually work. To answer your question, it's probably my bias because I've been a professional writer for so long, but I really try to be as explicit as possible in my prompts. I do use the different triggers, like you said, the @ in Claude Code to tag a file. Um, I don't generally trust the AI's ability to do inference. I've been with it since the beginning, and
Yeah.
although it's gotten so much better, to your point, I still
Mm.
take the Python approach of explicit is generally better than implicit, or belt and suspenders. Insert cliche here. But yeah, I will, I'll be pretty darn imperative in my prompts, strictly to try to reduce and hopefully eliminate the inference space of the AI, because I don't want it making anything up. None of us do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think as these models become better, the need for that becomes maybe less. I don't know.
Probably. Yeah, I admit I'm going to have to evolve my prompting approach. Right now, I'm being a curmudgeon, I guess. I'm going to have to evolve that to survive, and that's fine. You're probably right. Who knows? In the future, maybe the AI will be able to work in conjunction with a neural implant, and it'll just follow our thoughts.
Oh, I don't know. Do not want that.
Nor do I, but you know what? All the Black Mirror stuff, it's gradually turning into reality.
It is, yeah. It is. It truly is. And so, you can do so much stuff now with it. Like, you can hand off a session to your phone, for instance. Do you do that and then like go on a holiday and then you're still working?
Yeah, a lot actually. Not yeah, actually even for development projects. Just last night, in fact, I was driving, I had to run a couple errands, and had a conversation in ChatGPT on my desktop speccing out a software project for a course I'm teaching. And I picked it up on the road using ChatGPT voice mode. And it was super useful because we were able to explore stuff that I wouldn't have thought about, basically product requirements and that front end kind of stuff, front end proactive optimizations and stuff. And I was like, let's brainstorm and get this tight. And then when I got home, I got onto my computer and I said, whip up an excellent PRD document that I can hand to my coding assistant. And that's exactly what I did. So yeah, that handoff is super, super helpful for sure.
Yeah, it is. But for me, it also means that now I'm just doing stuff all the time, and I have like I don't know 10 projects in my head, and I'm constantly like, oh, do this, do that. Oh, maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do that. And so it's a lot of context that I hold myself, although the work gets done by all these robots basically. But I don't know. I get a bit overwhelmed by all this stuff because now I'm taking on too much because I can do everything. It's weird.
No, I understand and I relate to that. It's very real. For me, I think I would be lost if I didn't have a productivity methodology. I practice GTD, getting things done. And the whole principle there is to get stuff out of my brain and get it into a trusted capture system. And you know what?
Mm.
To your point, you could have all of those project stubs in your capture system and feel very overwhelmed indeed. And I've been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt. I can think of an example where Gen AI has helped me with that. I've pointed ChatGPT, look at my projects, look at my past conversation history, find these unopened loops. Let's take a look at them. Give me your best guidance on which have some
Yeah.
teeth to them, which should I maybe deprioritize or let go out of my brain. So using AI in that meta sense has really given me some peace.
No, that's a good one. I'll try that as well.
Mm-hmm.
To get some focus.
Yep.
'Cause that's important.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use it for software development. Now I also talk to platform teams and infrastructure people. They're like, yeah, we have GitHub Copilot, for instance, but we just write our bicep all by ourselves. Do you sometimes have conversations with platform people and infra folks, and do you find that they use AI?
Yes, I have those conversations all the time, I'm fortunate
Hmm.
to say. And what I've seen as a trend is quite a few engineers, either by directive, you have to use it, or out of their
Hmm.
curiosity, tried it out maybe in the earlier days when it
Hmm.
was not very effective in many cases, and have a net negative and now a resistant attitude towards it. So it involves a conversation of giving it a try now that we've seen this delta from how it used to be even 6 months a year ago. And then B, having them feel enough return on investment to go a bit further and to learn the slash commands, the invocation commands, the shortcuts. And if and when they cross that bridge, yeah, you've probably got a convinced developer at that point, and that's a good thing. But I have seen a lot of V1 after effects of devs who felt burned, cheated, afraid of Gen AI initially, and now are super skeptical of it, and they haven't yet seen the improvements, of which there are many and continue to be.
Yeah, as in, I tried it with GPT 3.5 and it sucked. So I'm not trying that again.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
you read the scary tech news of businesses having to uphold hallucinated refunds, warranty stuff because their AI
yeah.
chatbots hallucinated, or companies that went way too far and downsized their human engineering teams, replaced them with agents and got burned that way, and then frantically tried to rehire. Those experiences don't help either. But I think, again, in how we started the conversation, this stuff happened and happens with cloud, mobile,
Mm.
virtualization, containerization, World Wide Web. I mean, I can go back to the 70s in elementary school when my math teacher let us use calculators. There was a big furor and uproar. The kids aren't going to know how to do math because they're relying on these computers. It's all of a thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and now you mention it, I kind of forgot about that. During the cloud era, people were like, all right, or we're gonna make lots of cuts to the infrastructure people because, we don't need them anymore. We just run stuff in the cloud. But that turned out not to be true.
Yeah,
Not at
exactly.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think AI is a wonderful force multiplier, but I know it sounds like I'm standing on a soapbox or something saying human in the loop, but I really believe that. When people in my life who aren't in tech ask my opinion of AI, first they wonder about the sentience or consciousness. I say, look, it's software running on a computer. Unplug the computer and the AI goes bye-bye. And number two, it's not the AI to be afraid of. It's the people who are governing that AI that we want to be concerned about. It's the
Yeah.
operators, it's the humans.
Yeah, and that's kind of always the crux, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's always the humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So keep the humans in the loop. So where do you think this is going with, you say, keep the humans in the loop? Will companies still have humans, or will it just all be agents? Agents sending emails to other agents, calling agents?
Well, already with software development, the question of writing code from scratch is almost a moot point because these agents, these Gen AI products can write code so much faster and in many cases more securely, more efficiently. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, so in other words, the role of the software developer becomes more of an architect or a steward, a guider, an operator, for lack of a better term. So that's one direction that AI seems to clearly be going. Because to your point, with some sub agents, you can, fan out and delegate this fleet of virtual assistants. I want you to proactively look for bugs here. I want you to proactively look for vulnerabilities, security issues. I want you to follow behind and test. That's another important point, making sure that whatever you're having your agents do, you've got another round of agents behind them validating. And then you've got an agent, I want you to keep the docs updated. Yay,
Yeah.
docs. And update your own memory file. That's an issue that some people
Mm.
forget about. Make sure that you have the agent update its memory. So it has a current snapshot of your code base, and the next time you start a chat, the AI is current and it's got that loaded and ready to rock.
Yeah. So with all these agents, do you think we're gonna have like a lot less, for instance, software developers or other people?
It seems likely, unfortunately. And again, I think back in my life, I remember in the late 80s, I grew up in upstate New York with a lot of manufacturing, particularly auto manufacturing. And I remember how disruptive that was because once assembly line robots turned up, there was literally less need to have humans on the assembly line because the robots never sleep and they do a deterministic operation 24/7, 365. So, I mean, there's a kernel of truth in the fear that I experience with developers in my life about is this Gen AI stuff going to put me out of business? And I would encourage back the guidance. It's about getting on top of the AI and learning how to use it to make yourself more effective and make yourself a force multiplier. It's using the AI because, like I said, there's going to be a need for those people to operate these agents going forward. Will there be as many people necessarily? Who knows? I mean, maybe if the cost of hardware goes down and we start getting closer to edge and on-premises LLMs,
Yeah.
then you're going to need operators in those contexts as well. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be a case of increasing specialization.
Yeah, it's nobody knows.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I, I heard somebody say on a podcast for developers, for instance, if you're a developer, uh, your task is not to develop code. Those are tasks that you do. Your task is to create software or to create something that creates business value for your
Mm-hmm.
customer,
Mm-hmm.
automate a business process or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of that is tasks that you do, which is creating software. And now you can give those tasks to an agent or to Claude or whatever. And it can do that, but you still have all these other things to form that into something that automates the business process, which actually provides a value for now, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a good way to think about it, I think, what this guy said on a podcast. But let's see if that holds true in a
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And going further, the idea of an LLM running in, say, a robot. I don't have any experience with these humanoid robots that are under development now, but I have little doubt that the day of the domestic robot is in our future. And I kind of think that I'm a fan of that myself. I think it's pretty cool. Again, you could take these things in any direction, and it would be the humans behind them that are doing the operating that are thinking of nefarious things. But I'm thinking of stuff like folding my clothes for me. Again, delegating tasks and
Yeah.
freeing me up to use the full capacity of my brain to ideate and to add value and to help and to be kind and do all of the human stuff and delegate scut work and tasks to AI agents.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Embodied physical AI, that's absolutely coming.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then let's see how that goes. Like, would you trust that with your daughter? Like a humanoid AI?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe after a few years, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the V1 issue is pretty universal, isn't it? Yeah, you need to iron out the warts and get relatively stable. Okay.
Yeah. So the main thing that you produce now for Pluralsight is courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So educational courses about all sorts of things. Like I'm looking at your Pluralsight author page here, and it says currently 179 courses, and I'm sure there's a bunch of them that have been retired as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's a lot of material that you have been that you have created and you still continue to create, which is incredible because that means people can learn and then they can scale what they do. I think that's great. So, how does using AI uh, change how you teach?
Mm-hmm. Well, the rapid development has been a watershed. I mean, for example, the courses that I'm doing now are on Kubernetes, particularly the Certified Kubernetes Administrator certification. And that's a lab exam, so it's entirely
Mm.
practical. And creating demos is something I love doing as an instructional designer. It's actually more delightful now because I'm able to include the AI in the planning of these demos, and it consistently gives me, I think, banger ideas that I might have taken a lot longer to think about on my own, or maybe in some cases I wouldn't have thought about them across the board. So the quality of my sample code, the quality of my demos has definitely increased. And it's not a question of complexity for the sake of complexity. Why? Because I put that down in my guardrails, human in the loop, you know.
Mm.
But the quality is again, it's really nice. I tend to work quickly anyway. I'm fortunate in that I can learn pretty quickly, and generally speaking, knock on wood, I'm able to avoid the analysis paralysis that hits some fellow authors that are in my life, where you get hung up on perfection. I'm so grateful that I've been able to sidestep that so far. So yeah, it just potentially makes me even faster, and to do these things in parallel with AI is really helpful.
Yeah. And do you also use it in course production? So, I don't know, voice cloning, video editing, stuff like that.
hmm I've experimented with that stuff. Just the other day, I got turned on to a GitHub project that offers an MCP interface into Camtasia. Camtasia has been my video editor of choice for a couple dozen years now. And I thought, wow, that's cool. I could turn the agent
Hmm.
towards my raw video and see what it can do. So that's on my bench to take a look at. And I'm happy to share that project with you after we're done recording, Barry, if you're interested. Out of curiosity, are you still on Camtasia, or do you use ScreenFlow or Premiere? What do you use for
No,
editing?
still Camtasia, still
Nice.
Camtasia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it has improved a lot over the
Yeah.
last years.
Oh yeah, exactly. There was a period of time where it felt like the TechSmith engineering teams were not only ignoring feedback, but actively bugging their software. I know that sounds critical,
Yeah.
but they've got something good, a lot better going on now in terms of transparency and effectiveness. But to get back to your original question, no, I mean, I experimented with the voice cloning a little bit, but I'm really not comfortable with that because I think some of my best value as an instructor is I inject my passion and personality into my training. And until recently, I never used transcripts. Now I am using
Mm.
transcripts a lot more, not during demos, but during the PowerPoint stuff. I hope that I worry a little bit, frankly, that I'm coming across more robotic. I always prided myself thinking, well, if I'm not using a transcript, it's like a live classroom, so there's a built-in spontaneity there. And that's true, and a built-in energy, and you run the risk of missing stuff. Now, I use the transcripts because it's easier, I'm not missing stuff, but I worry about the human factor. And that's also why I'm not a fan of voice cloning or video cloning in my instructional stuff at this point.
Yeah, agree. I've always used transcriptions. So what that means for the listener, when we create a Pluralsight course, what I always do is when I, for instance, present a couple of slides, I write down everything that I'm going to say up front, and then read that, I record it, and then I stitch it together with the video.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
some people are very good at not having to do that. They can just do
Mm-hmm.
it off the cuff. Like Tim, for instance, he can
Mm-hmm.
do that, which is amazing. And that's a talent to do that. But yeah, I use that myself as well. And I think when you do use voice cloning or something, people sniff it out, people feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, this is AI. No, thanks. I don't like it. It just feels wrong or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there really is. There's a sterility, there's a off, would be about
Yeah,
the most
it's off.
technical term. Yeah.
Yeah, like the uncanny valley. That's kind of what
Mm.
it is. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not.
Yep.
Do you, as you see users consuming your courses and you can see the analytics and stuff as well, do you still see that people have the attention span and the willingness to actually sit down and go for a course of, let's say, 2 hours to learn something?
Let me see. I need to ponder that for a second. Yes, but I think more than anything else, it's the subject matter.
Mm.
Um, Pluralsight, I think it's pretty reflective across the world with technical training. The notion is of, generally speaking, shorter form content, atomizing content so learners can dip in and dip out however they want to. That's all well and good. It can be taken to too much of an extreme, but again, I think content is king more than anything else. For instance, I've had a lot of viewership on leading edge, bleeding edge stuff, like if I'm teaching Claude Code, for example.
Yeah.
That people seem to be, for some reason, willing to sit down with a lot longer than maybe me teaching SQL Server. So, I mean, the instructor factors in there, but I think more than anything else, it's the relevancy and currency of the content and how that relates to the learner. They may be under guidance, under strict guidance. You get smart on this Claude Code business or you're out of here. Or they might think themselves, if I don't
Yeah.
get on top of this stuff, I'm limiting my career advancement. So
Yeah.
that'll.
Okay. And so, just as a sidestep here, I've avoided teaching things about Claude Code, for instance, because it changes so extremely rapidly. How do you deal with that? Like with the UI changes, for instance?
Right. That's a good question. One thing I always make sure to call it out, and it can't be called out too many times. I'll say it right in the recorded training, for Pete's sake. I'll say, now please understand, and I'll repeat this. What you're seeing on your screen right now, when you compare it to mine, may be very different. We're talking about rapid development, rapid iteration. We're talking about companies competing and trying to get ahead. So focus on the underlying 80%. Why are we doing these things? What goals are we looking to
Yeah.
achieve? Don't get hung up on the specific invocation operator or the UI element, because those are going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's also what I usually try to do. Yeah.
And
Okay.
learners thank me for that as well. I've had quite a few learners thank me for that heads up, because, it's a way to avoid stall out and somebody rage quitting your course. And that goes to what I said a few minutes ago about somebody having a negative experience with AI and just saying, the heck with the whole thing. I don't need that AI stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That works the same with courses as well. Hey, this button isn't even there. What is he talking about? I'll quit this course. Yeah. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe as a final question, so I'm looking for an answer, and I don't have it myself. Like I have two kids; they're 6 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
I forget almost. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and like a year ago, I would say, you should learn software development or something. In IT, you'll be fine. Maybe there's a lot less work or something, but you can be an architect or whatever. Now I'm not so sure anymore. What would you recommend that people go and study?
Gosh, at the risk of sounding like I'm spouting a cliche, the guidance I offer to those who ask, and the guidance that I give, I have one 16-year-old daughter, is what my grandfather told me when I was a young boy. And he said, Timmy, if you find a job that delights you, he didn't use the word delight, but makes you happy, you're good at it, and it's something that you would do even if you weren't getting paid for it, then you found your professional calling. And that always struck with me, and I'm grateful that I found that in the merging of technology and adult education. So what I advise is people to really self-inventory and think about what you're most passionate about, professionally or personally, and see how that lines up with your aptitude. Of course, you'll want to have aptitude as well for it, but
Yeah.
Passion and aptitude, find where that nexus is and evaluate that as a potential career path. And whether that's in the humanities or the sciences or the arts, whatever. But for me, and I'm just speaking for myself, man, I don't want to be in a position where I'm watching the clock, because when you think of how much of your life you spend on the job, I need to do something that's personally fulfilling. Not everybody's privileged enough to have that. I respect and I want to put that out there as well. But if you are privileged enough to have that choice, consider it. Passion and aptitude.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I like that a lot. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was delightful.
You're welcome, Barry. Always great to chat with you. I absolutely love your instructional content. Always have.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, same here. Big fan.
Thanks.
All right.